Hey there everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we are working on my temperature blanket. I have an entire month to catch up, so that is like over 30 rows, and I thought this would be a great time to go over some mistakes that I've made with this blanket, because a temperature blanket is quite an intense commitment, especially if you're crocheting for a whole 365 days, and I've definitely made some mistakes on the way. I want to share those with you because I don't want you to start this whole journey of crocheting a temperature blanket and make the same mistakes that I have. So here are my 3 mistakes that I have made. And if you're asking yourself, wow, Claire, has it already been 365 days? This blanket is huge. No, it hasn't been 365 days. It's been 5 months. And it is already a full-size blanket. That leads me to my very first mistake. The first mistake I made was choosing a chunky yarn and pairing it with a double crochet stitch. At the time it seemed like a great idea, but what I didn't realize was how quickly the blanket would grow. My intention was to create a full 365-day blanket, something that would be a year-long journey. But just 5 months in, I had a full-size blanket on my hands, and that was a huge bummer. It meant I had to stop halfway through the year, and now I'm left considering whether I should start a second blanket to finish out the year. So if you want to avoid that, I recommend either using a thinner yarn or a lower weight yarn with longer stitches like a double crochet V-stitch, or sticking to shorter stitches like a single crochet or a half double crochet if you are using a bulkier yarn. That way you can really pace yourself and enjoy the full year-long project you had envisioned. Now, the second mistake when I would crochet this temperature blanket was underestimating how much yarn I would actually need. When I first planned this blanket, I thought, yeah, sure, 3 skeins of each color will be more than enough to get me at least halfway through the year. I've only just caught up to the end of May, and I've already gone through 25 skeins of yarn. I kept on running out of colors and had to place new orders constantly. Now, this meant that sometimes I had to pause for a week or more just waiting for my yarn to arrive, and that put me behind schedule and left me feeling a little bit overwhelmed. In hindsight, I definitely should have done a bit more research on how much yarn I would actually need, especially considering how quickly the blanket was working out because of that bulky yarn. So, lesson learned. Always plan for more yarn than you think you'll need. I'm very excited because it is almost time to add this yellow, and I'm so excited because yellow is one of my favorite colors. And as much as this video is about making mistakes, the one thing I did absolutely right with this blanket is the colors that I chose. I am obsessed with the colors that I chose, and now that it is finally getting warm enough in the Netherlands to use the colors that I've associated with the higher temperatures, I get to use the yellow, and I'm super excited. I was worried for a moment because it doesn't get hot here very often, so I was wondering if I was ever going to be able to use the yellow as well as this really bright pink, because that's like the higher temperatures, and being in the Netherlands, it's always raining, it's always cold, so I'm glad that we have had good enough weather to start using these brighter colors, because it just makes my heart so happy. Now, I'm nowhere near finishing this blanket in this video, so if you're looking for an update, let me know and I will do like a whole like, hey, here's the finished blanket. I will do that another time, but honestly, I have so much to catch up on, which brings me to my third mistake. Now, the third mistake I made was underestimating how much time the temperature blanket would require. It seems so silly, but when I started, I thought 1 row a day, that's easy enough. Of course, I could do that. It didn't seem like it would be that time consuming. And for the first couple of months, it was really fun and manageable. It honestly was. But as a mom and someone running a crochet business, it eventually became a bit of a challenge to fit that daily row in my schedule. After a while, it started to feel like just another task on my to-do list. My mental load was increasing, and there were days when I fell behind simply because life got busy. So the lesson here is not to just consider the time commitment of 1 row each day, but to ask yourself if you can maintain that consistency over a long period of time. That said, even though it was sometimes difficult to fit in my routine, the process was incredibly rewarding, and I did truly enjoy the journey. So there you have it, the 3 big lessons that I have learned from crocheting my temperature blankets. Even with the challenges and the unexpected hurdles, the journey has been incredibly rewarding, and I've loved seeing the blanket grow day by day. If you're thinking about starting your own temperature blanket, I hope these insights help you avoid some of the pitfalls I encountered and make your experience even more enjoyable. Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any of your own tips or experiences with your own temperature blanket, do share by dropping them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, and until next time, happy crocheting. Bye!